All right, hello, welcome back to the podcast. My next guest is coming to us from Japan. It is she is the solo artist Dandelyin. She's a talented singer songwriter and all around musician. Her EP Gold Plated came out in 2018, and it is, now I really mean this, delightful. We'd be lucky to have songs like hers on the radio. I really recommend checking out her songs before you hear this because I really want to explore the details behind these great tracks. She just released two new songs, Past Hearts and Stand Still, on Valentine's Day. She has performed in the cities of New Haven and Bridgeport in Connecticut and New York City, aka the Big Apple. This is Dandelyin, aka Dana D. Billingham. Hey, hey,
Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. What were you working on over there? Was that your kitchen or something? Or I totally missed it.
No, it's actually my soundboard. I'm trying to set it up so I'll be able to perform.
All right, all right. Little sneak peek of what's to come. Very cool. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you since college when we went to Western Connecticut State University, just for posterity. Or no, I saw you at
Fair. But you did see me at the radio station.
I did. I saw you at
You saw me at the radio.
I saw you at the Longtime Studio, WPKN 89.5 at the University of Bridgeport. They are relocating at this moment to the Bijou Theater, or the upstairs of the Bijou Theater, in downtown Bridgeport. Yeah, that was a crazy night.
Wow.
But yeah. We Sam Hopkins, our mutual friend, does the A-List radio show from 2 to 6 a.m. Monday mornings. How did that feel? What was that like?
Well, I think I don't know if I went to one of those, but I went to one of it was a group of you guys. It was a group of like four guys that I went on a radio show with, but Sam I think was there.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
I mean it was a while ago. It was like maybe 3 years ago at this
That's
point.
true. Wow. Time
But yeah,
flies.
I think I went I know. I think I went to Bridgeport one night, and it was like one evening, and it was like three or four of you guys, and it was my first EP Gold Plated that I had done with Factory Underground in Norwalk. Like I wrote and performed all the songs, but Kenny Cash and Tom Stewart and Ethan Isaac, they were the ones that helped produce it. And I was really glad to get an EP out there. They really wanted me to focus more on like my vocals and stuff. But as I'm ever growing as an artist, I started producing my own music, and you can hear my two singles from last year, Marrow and De La Lune, that I produced.
Oh,
And
wow.
I recently just released a double single, as I like to call it, called Past Hearts on Valentine's Day. And I produced the song Past Hearts, and then I brought it to Factory Underground. And the other one I had a guitar player for, and that song has a long story to it. Stand Still. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I'm glad to have released music during this weird time in the world.
It is a very weird time in the world.
Still being able to release music.
Yeah, if anything, I've gotten a little too used to it.
Yeah.
It's weird. And but I do want to say I've been listening to your songs and they are very impressive. Like honestly, if I didn't know you at all, if I didn't have this podcast thing, I would be listening to these songs. They are really good. Um, I really like the gold
Thank you.
plated EP. So I have a bunch of questions for you. Don't worry if you don't have much to say to one of these questions because there's plenty where that came from. So let's set the stage a bit. You were living in Connecticut. Your husband works in tech in the Marines. He was given an assignment in Japan. You got on the plane with him, and now you've been living and writing music in Japan. Can you talk a bit about that?
So because he got stationed in Japan, we had actually only been seeing each other for less than a year. And because he got stationed, we met in a restaurant in Norwalk called
Wow.
El Segundo. We both worked there. And
El
he
Segundo?
was, at the time, he was 25. And yeah, El Segundo, it's right in South Norwalk.
I'll have to try it out.
And we both worked there. It's good. They've got some good stuff. I would totally plug them. They're an amazing restaurant group,
Right
and the owners are these 5 amazing hearted guys. And so we met at this restaurant. We were both waiting, like we were serving and waiting. And he was going in the Marines in a month and a half and was just like, this can't be anything. Like, I'm leaving in a month and a half. And I was like, okay, I don't really care. Right. And then, fast forward a year later,
Oh, shit.
obviously did care.
Yeah.
And
That's okay.
so he had gotten stationed in Japan. Yeah, he had gotten stationed in Japan. And we said if he had gotten stationed out of the country, like, I guess that was like either make or break. We should either get married or just call it quits, but we didn't want to call it quits. So we got married 2 weeks before he left for Japan in
Wow.
Okinawa.
Wow.
And it took about 6 months for me to get out here. So we were separated for a good 6 months. And then I got out here. All my stuff got out here. We have cats now. It's great.
Now it's really official because you got those cats. Yeah. So
I know. This is Tuna.
no way. All right.
That's Tuna.
This is cool. I'm loving these
Yeah.
animal cameos. I'm starting to get on this podcast. That's great. Yeah. Need I
There
hope
will be a few.
Yeah. Tuna, what's the other one's name?
There will definitely be.
Oh, okay.
Vlad, like Vlad the Impaler.
Awesome. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's a great one. I think you really
Yeah,
you
we're
stole
good cat names.
you stole a really supreme cat name there. I don't, I'm gonna be like, oh, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd called my cat Vlad. That's very cool. All right.
We thought about naming Dracula, but then we figured Vlad was a little bit more original.
It is. It's way better. I'm glad you picked Vlad. Yeah, that's like that's really good. All right. So you're in Japan. Are you ever coming back? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
So we're his station. Sorry, I had to get my tea. We're stationed in Okinawa until January 2023.
Whoa. Wow.
So I don't know where we're going next.
That's crazy. So actually on your single double, like you call it, Past Hearts, at the end of Past Hearts, there's some violin that I would have to say is pretty, sounds pretty Japanese inspired. Do you think that's going to keep happening? Or are you going to have like an increasingly like, more Eastern flavor to your music?
That's a very astute mention. Actually, that was put in that song on purpose because that song is about my husband. It was kind of um, since it was the second song and the whole EP is about love and heartbreak. Obviously, the
Mhm.
first song you can kind of tell is more about heartbreak.
Yeah.
It kind of the whole the title of the EP is Past Hearts, and that meaning like you just want to be done with your past hearts, like be not done with like the people as people, but you want to be done with the person you were in that time and the hurt that you felt in those times. So Past Hearts was about moving on and being with somebody new, excuse me. um, and that Asian violin at the end was kind of a gateway into what will be my next album coming out at the end of the year.
Oh
It's
wow.
called Over Easy, and
That's a great title.
it's
That's awesome.
definitely different than Past Hearts. Thank you. It's
No, that's a great.
definitely different than Past Hearts. I produced all and a little less organic, um, more like electronic pop, I guess.
Okay.
A little bit more Portishead, Hooverphonic, who are my I'm a big 90s girl.
Yeah, I
So
do have.
I'm really excited.
I know Portishead. I'm gonna have to double back and really get into Portishead because I don't. I know of them.
Too.
Um, so
Yeah.
we've got a bit of a lag on your end, but I want to keep working with it because this is really cool. All right, so I'm trying to like move metal objects. I mean, it's a miracle we can do video chat from this distance at all, truly. And I just want to say there is a time difference. It is 6:30 here. It is 8:30, 6:30 p.m. here. It is 8:30 a.m. where you are. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, tomorrow.
It's literally tomorrow. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, all right. So,
I'm living in the future.
you're literally in the future. Yeah, like um, when you're talking to friends or family back home, do you ever feel the strain of that time difference, or is it mostly just kind of fun?
It's not fun. Uh
Yeah.
but there are set times when we know to call each other. Like in the morning, it's usually nighttime for them or vice versa.
Hmm.
So we just know to call each other, like not even until like noon is okay, but past noon I have to like be like, can I call you or something? But it really isn't that bad. And I have a lot of friends that live in Europe as well. So then I also have to have those time differences as well in my
Oh
head,
wow.
which is difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, very this is some cool stuff. I want to double back to sort of you making the move to Japan. Well, first of all, where are you in Japan? Like, it's not just Japan, obviously. um, there's a whole.
So I'm not on mainland Japan. I'm in Okinawa, which is actually closer to Taiwan and South Korea. So if you go to the bottom of the mainland Japan,
Right.
and then you go 900 miles south into the
Whoa.
middle of the East China Sea,
Uh-huh.
I'm just there.
Okay, okay. And so that must have definitely opened up some, at least before the pandemic, there must have been some cool travel opportunities. Like, I have actually sort of been around that area. I haven't been to Japan, but basically, like say from where you are,
Yeah,
a flight to Australia, say, is much cheaper, right? Have you?
definitely, definitely. And I haven't so I got here literally 2 weeks before the whole pandemic started. I got here
No.
almost a
Wow.
year ago, almost a year ago to the day.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I haven't gone anywhere. I've been on the island for the entire year.
Oh,
Like,
Oh man, I'm sorry. That's
I know.
that's
No,
terrible.
it's laughable.
I'm sorry.
I've like waited my whole life to travel like Asia and like do it with this person that I love, and we can't even leave this tiny island.
It's
However, Okinawa,
it's
I know
incredible.
it's silly.
It's incredibly brave that you made that leap, and I do want to linger there for just one extra minute. You're trying to figure out, if you're gonna marry this person, basically, like, what was that like? Did you go for any long drives, like any of that stuff?
Like when I met him, like we definitely like we started the first month. It was more of it wasn't really dating in the beginning,
Yeah, right.
and then it turned into we actually really liked each other's personalities.
Hmm.
And then he was leaving and he was like, well, this sucks. And I was like, yeah, it does.
It does
And
suck.
then, to be honest, I didn't really know if it was going to go much further, so I started seeing somebody else.
Right.
And then when he came back months later, the spark happened again, and then I realized that I wanted to be with this person. And I love traveling. Like, my
Mm.
first uh taste of travel was in college, and you and I both at the same time. It was you, me, and like one other person that semester who decided to study abroad. And
Yeah.
I went to Derry in Northern Ireland.
Good
And
choice.
after that, I was like, I don't know if I love traveling or music more now. So they
Yeah.
kind of like fight each other on what I love
Yeah.
more. And
Well, they
then
used to go
in
hand in hand,
2000 in
kind of.
2000
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
right. I wish they would go hand in hand. It's okay. There's a lag, so I feel like sometimes I'm cutting you off.
No, yeah, we'll make it work.
But then in 2017, yeah, 2017, I went to Spain for well, I went to Europe for 3 months, but I was in Spain for 2 months and traveled all around Spain, and I took Spanish. And then I went to Greece and Holland, and I just have had an insatiable travel bug, and I wish that I could tour and be singing and traveling,
Yeah,
but
of course.
it never happened that way. So, you just got to make your own luck. I'll be
Yeah,
doing music whether people listen to it or not. And I'll be
yeah,
traveling whether people care or not. So,
right on. That's a
screw
great
Instagram culture.
boom. That that's a really great quote. I mean, and honestly, like I'm really pleased that you have sort of gone into music, because I really do. I'm really enjoying these songs. So I'm just gonna, before we get, basically, let's get into this double. Your pair of singles here, which actually is sort of reminiscent of old school singles on vinyl. They would release a side A and a side B. It would actually be two songs, but it would focus on one. And you've pretty much done the same thing. Past Hearts is like sort of the flagship, but it's also sort of a story that starts with Stand Still, a thematic thing where Stand Still is the breakup, and then Past Hearts is sort of, is the moving on kind of thing. So um, these songs come from a real place of friendship and loss. Can you talk about how you came up with these songs?
Yeah. Um, so Stand Still is I wrote that song with somebody who actually went to college with us, but he shall not be named.
Okay.
And I was actually like I had been in love with this guy since college, and we just never were. We were always dating somebody at the wrong, like I was dating someone when he wasn't, or he was dating someone when I wasn't, or we were
Wow.
both dating somebody, and then finally, come I think it was I think we wrote that song in winter of 2018. We finally were both like single after all these years. He lived on the other side of the country, and literally all of it kind of came to a head. We wrote this song together, and that's him playing the guitar in the song.
No way.
And he originally did sing in the song.
Wow.
And my song, My Ghost, on my EP, about the same person. And Marrow was kind of about the situation, my other song, Marrow.
Wow.
And uh and it didn't work out. It was just because I think it was distance, and a lot of a lot of narcissism happened that I didn't know was part of this person's air after 7 years of being like BFF.
Yeah.
And so this song we wrote together, and it almost kind of predicted what was about to happen to us. Like we wrote this song in such a friendly manner together, and
Wow.
then the relationship kind of fizzled, and it became what we had already written. It's like we already knew that it was like destined to fail after all this time. um
Yeah.
and I think that's why the song was so special, but it is kind of a personally kind of a painful song for me. Like when Tom Stewart, who sang on it, who also engineered and mastered it at Factory Underground,
Yeah. I mean, not a bad
when
partner,
he
by the
had
way.
sent like the rough back with his vocals, he shocked me when I first heard his voice when we were doing like stuff for Gold Plated. I was like, yo, can you be like my backup singer for everything? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Tom is one of my favorite people. He's just a good soul.
Nice.
And I was really, really happy that he wanted to do this part because he sounds amazing on it. And he actually was the one that mixed and produced this when we first recorded it. Actually, the guy that I wrote it with had laid down vocals for it, but I didn't think that they were up to par. And I'm
No.
not saying that really because they weren't. Like I have a standard, and I was like, I think I need Tom on this.
Wow.
um, and that's not to hurt anybody's like feelings or
No.
anything. I
No way.
really don't mean to like hurt his feelings. I just thought that we had like one shot to finish these vocals, and I just didn't think that they were up to snuff for releasing.
I mean, that's the
And
kind of, sorry,
so that's
that's
kind of where that song came from. And
right.
when Tom sent it to me, like with his voice on it, I was taking a walk, and I actually cried, like because like put it that's the painful part about being a songwriter or a writer in any way, shape, or form, or having a journal and rereading it. You just have to like relive these moments that like you've grown past. And in some ways I can understand why like all these like Amy Winehouse and like all these writers stay in like this constant depression, because if you have to sing and listen to songs that hurt, like you're not going to be like happy all the time. So you kind of have to channel it and make it like put it in a drawer in your mind and leave it there and then take it out when you need it.
Wow.
um so then we moved to so literally within the next year, i I had met my husband Greg, and it was a slow going kind of thing in the beginning, and then it just for me it was just like I just want to take a breath. Like I want to be over hanging on to these things in my past, like hanging on to these hearts and like these feelings of my past, and
Right.
I'm just done with it. Like, and I know he was too. Like, when you marry someone, you know you're supposed to know pretty much everything about them. So I know all of his ex-girlfriends and what happened and all that
Wow.
stuff. So it was nice
Wow.
to move on. It was nice to just like put it in my past. But like I said, listening to the songs that you wrote in the time, you're just like, ugh, my soul. I have to I have to put that back in the drawer.
In just like 2 sentences of talking about marriage, that's probably the most mature interpretation of marriage of anyone my age that I've heard really talk about it. Or like that was that's really neat. And I really identified with a lot of
And
what.
he's 5 years younger than me.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
no, I really identified with a lot of sort of what you said there. I mean, especially really sort of that, you know, you don't necessarily want to be in the emotional state of sort of your work all the time, like and it's really true. You think it's some like weird like artist cliche, but honestly, like if you have a sad paragraph to write or something like that, it can really bum you out for a while. And I'm really glad you mentioned that. So do you actually have songs that like you wrote and you felt awesome about at the time besides Stand Still that now like kind of stop you up? You don't really want to play them anymore, even though like you kind of know they're good?
I feel that way about my ghost. I remember Factory Underground when we had first kind of released it. They really wanted me to push that song, and it was around the time that I had written Stand Still. So obviously, it was around the time that all this shit with this person had happened. So I was just like, it was like keeping me in that mental state, and I was smoking a lot of weed to get through it, and I I just
You know what?
I've heard a bunch of times that that's like, yeah,
No, no, you've heard a bunch of times. What? I'll double
sorry,
back. Don't worry.
it's okay. I have heard a bunch of times that that's like my song, like that's the song I should push. It's like my Adele, Someone Like You song.
Wow.
And while I'm glad that anybody would compare me to Adele,
Hmm.
I it, honestly, I don't know how Adele sings that song over and over
Yeah.
without wanting to flush herself down a toilet.
Yeah.
Because that song, I can feel the emotion in that song when I sing it. Like if I'm covering it, I'm like, whoa, like this is real. This is like, I mean, it's hard to catch a very specific feeling, but also it's so relatable to everybody else, but it does still feel personal. And that's what I mean. My studio was like, that's what my ghost is. Like that's you did that. And I was like, yeah, but it's like hurting me. Like I can't keep
Wow.
singing. I don't even like to listen to it anymore. Um,
Yeah, I can really get that. I think, like honestly, like I have to say um when you're in your early 20s, you hear stuff like that and you're just like, what are you talking about? Like, like how is it hard to listen to your own song like that? That's silly, but now I totally get it. Big time. But yeah, there's
when
just
you
so
got
much.
baggage, it is.
Yeah. There's so much there. Wow, I haven't even scratched the surface. Great answers. Like so right. All right. So you mentioned that there was some narcissism you didn't know about. One of my questions was actually silly now to think again of all the people I let go who are scratching to get in. I really like that line. So was that about oh, and then it goes and your soul just won't come in. Is that what was, do you kind of remember sort of forming that line? Did it just sound good, or you know?
No, no, it was so the other lines in the song that Tom is singing were kind of more written by me. I kind of take the reins on writing, but they get based off of like what the other person is trying to say. But I just have like a unicorn brain that just is like, no, this will sound better. This fits better. I'm a little bit bossy with it, but
Yep.
I feel like I have authority too. Um, which sounds really narcissistic. Um,
No,
but
it's good to have a
I
standard.
am
I
not the
agree.
one that was. Yes. So
So yeah, you were
that
competing with
line
a
was more
narcissist. Yeah.
mine about. That was more of my line, not. It was more of a line about like how much I wanted to be with this person, but there are other people that are scratching at my door when this person didn't even really care like to be with me, and I'm just like shutting the door because like I'm like I want to go with this person. So like of all the people I let go who are scratching to get in, like I'm still over here like trying to
Yeah.
make it work with this person that doesn't really care, and that means I'm one of the people that is scratching to get in. So
Wow.
it's
Wow.
a little bit cyclical in that.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean,
um and and the soul thing, like when your soul just won't come in. Originally the line was my soul just won't commit. um but then Tom actually made the mistake of recording it as come in, and I was like, I like that better.
yeah.
uh, and it made more sense. It made more sense for all the lines anyway, because like my heartstrings banging on your door, but my soul just won't come in or commit. I mean, it sounds better come in because it's a door. Uh, and it was the whole thing about the soul is like, I mean, you're talking about soulmates. So you're that's what it was about. Like if your soul won't come in, I don't need all the rest of the shit. Like you can say you love me with your heart and your brain, but like if your soul's not there for all of it, then what's it all for? And that's
Wow.
what that whole song really is about. It does have a lot of meat
It does.
stuffed in there.
That's a pretty legitimate burn for
Yeah.
every stupid guy who's done something like that. Not that I have ever been so stupid, but yeah. So anyway,
We've
so-
all been stupid, whether you're a guy or a girl.
big time. Thank
Whether
you
you're
for
a guy or a girl, we've either been we've been the bad one, we've been the good one. It is what it is.
boom. All right, thank you
That's
for
life.
that. Wow, you saved me a bunch of therapy money. Um, So you went to school for acting, and you your focus obviously turned to music. Lucky us. Are there any dream acting roles that would suck you back in
The Cheshire Cat
from Alice in Wonderland?
in Alice in Wonderland. I would
Yeah,
love to. Yeah. I would have to take some like serious gymnastics and movements classes, but like that would be such a cool role just to be such a weirdo. I love character roles. Like I don't really care about being like the main whatever. I think I have like big enough bug eyes to be like really weird,
yeah.
and
I got
I
the.
kind of like those kind of
That's a great answer.
I kind of like those.
I think like I really want to kind of mention this as best I can. Like your music, I feel like I think when an actor goes into music, you know there's sort of a danger of that music coming across like that music being a little bland, basically, which is not your problem at all, you know? So like, and I feel like maybe that you're willing to sort of commit to a character, to a story that way is part of that, you know? I think if you're maybe more of a lead actor, then you can just be like, well, I'm here and that's enough, you know? But like, you know, you've got just really legitimate songwriting abilities. And
Thank you.
so, you know, you have great imagery, great hooks, great backing vocals. You actually riff on the word bullshit in your song Gold Plated from the EP of the same name. Um, so, really, how do you write these songs? You know?
I It's all about inspiration. Gold plated is about my hometown that I grew up in, which is Darien,
Hmm,
Connecticut. And it's very white. And uh, I, at one point, was considered ethnic in my town, being Italian and Spanish. And I was like, no, that's European. Sorry. Mediterranean, but it's European. So
yeah.
um I actually I just get inspired. Like, it's hard, like when we took a creative writing class together, so that's how you and I met. And
Right.
I think it was harder to like be given a subject and then like write about it, as opposed to just like feel like you need to get something out. I mean, I still got an A, but I just felt like it was a little rough to be like, all right, like write about like a tree. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna write about a tree? Like,
Yeah.
tree. But then I sat and looked at a tree and I was like, what can I say about this tree? Um, so gold plated, it was like, what can I say about my town? And that's kind of how I felt in the town. I felt like everybody thought that they were like gold. And since I wasn't like within the top 5% of people in the world, that I was like gold plated. I'm lucky that I grew up in a safe town and got a great education, but you know, I wasn't like, my daddy didn't have like 3 yachts and my friends did.
Yeah.
but uh, um, but like we didn't belong to any country. Like honestly, I didn't even have a car until I bought one when I was like
Yep.
19 years old, like
Yeah.
normal
That's yeah.
people. Um,
It was
and
very normal in Connecticut to get a car. Yeah.
to get a black on black Mercedes for your 16th birthday. And I would be like, why don't I get one? And then like as I got older, I was like, oh, I was being an asshole kid. um, but yeah, it's mostly it's just what inspires you. And I didn't want my whole gold plated EP to just be love songs, because I think I write more about love because it inspires me, and I think it inspires many artists. So it becomes a little cliche. So I try to release uh, a few songs that aren't about that here and there, because while I would say like 70% of my catalog is love and heartbreak
Sure.
songs, I think there's other ones about, like, my album Over Easy, when it comes out, there's one about like uh how we're kind of like robots walking around looking at our phones, like just kind of my
Yeah, it's
take on
bad.
watching the world at this point. And uh yeah, that's what inspires me. Just, living my
Totally.
life,
I think that's
feeling
a
like
great
I need to get it out.
yeah, I think that's a great practice. Not to sort of avoid a love song because we will always need them, hopefully, and but at the same time to explore different parts of the world with your songwriting as well.
Yeah.
That's a really good choice. That's some really good trivia about the song Gold Plated. As
Mhm.
I was listening to it like Gold Plated, like I was listening, like this is nice, but but yeah, of course, all of that being there, I do remember one lyric in particular just about, like power walking through the suburb or something like that. That was, and I was like, yeah, she's definitely talking about Connecticut. But, that, uh, that is really neat. Good choice. I do like that song. And then, so I just have to ask, like, when you were working on this EP, it's 5 songs, about 17 minutes in length, super catchy the whole time. Did you ever sit back and go like, wow, I am so awesome? You know?
Um, I no.
Mm,
I was glad that I released an EP and that I got something out there, but a lot of the times I would listen to it and I almost hated it. And I'm not trying to be like a cool indie artist that's like, I don't even like my work anymore.
mm,
I think it's mostly because, and this is nothing against Factory Underground because they helped me more than they ever did anything else. Uh, I think because I didn't produce it, it didn't feel like it was genuinely me.
wow.
I would have done other things with the songs. I kind of let Kenny run with what he thought the song should be, and while they are beautiful in their own right,
Okay.
I think I would have taken them a different direction. And that's kind of what I did with my EP Marrow and with De La Lune. And my album that's going to come out is going to be a little bit more along the lines of De La Lune, a little bit
Got
more
it.
dark.
Yeah.
Um, and Marrow was just something that I had written the song on piano, and I'm not really good at piano, but I just did this like triple, like kind of chord progression on it. And I originally was just going to have it on piano, and then I started adding stuff to it, and I was like, I like my sound better than than somebody else trying to put their idea of what my sound should be on it.
Yeah. Marrow is a neat, um it's a really neat song, and I was sort of gonna package this in with another question, but honestly, like the cover art for Marrow, it's a photo of you on like a couch, but it has such a classic look, like you look like you could be like some star from the 70s or something, that I hadn't heard of. I mean, really, like, how did you just like, do like, I'll literally just do this easy photo shoot, or was like, it was just easy, right?
I took it on my iPhone, and I just didn't really know what I wanted to do for Marrow. I thought I wanted to do like actual a piece of art because I think after my gold plated EP, I felt like it was like really narcissistic to have that just like that cover shot. Even though I was the one that like directed it, like I wanted to kind of like come off as this like weird little fairy, and I think I nailed it on the head with that. But then when I look at it now, I'm just like, ugh, I just look so pretentious. And I just didn't want like a portrait of me in the same way. I just kind of wanted it to be like how I normally am.
Oh,
And like and it was literally taken out my couch here. So
oh, okay, yeah. So you were in Japan for Mara.
well, I had written, produced, and it was done by the time I got here. But when I decided to release it, I was like, what's the cover gonna be? And I wanted to do something where like you could kind of see like a very shadowed like outline of my skeleton, but I don't have those kind of Photoshop skills. So you get what you get. You don't get upset.
All right. Well, yeah, that I don't know. That's cool. I think you made a good choice ultimately.
Thank you.
Um, and so I do you want to? I want to focus specifically on the slow song, "Wildfire" from Gold Plated EP. Um, I would say that's your real My Ghost. It's really moving. It feels like something teenagers could slow dance to at a prom. I mean, like, what were the reactions to that song when you played it live? When you released that one.
That one is actually it's actually a really sad song disguised as a love song,
Hmm.
because at the time I was with somebody that I was supposed to be, you know, in love with, and I was,
Yeah.
but I knew that it was kind of ending, and you can kind of hear like my negative, like it was more of a it's me, it's not you, it's me kind of feeling to the song by the end.
Mm.
And I wrote it on ukulele,
Oh
and
wow.
there's actually a video on YouTube of me performing it on ukulele, and my friend Amanda took different shots of me on my big yellow chair that I have over here.
Oh
Um,
cool.
but it was just I took the chair on a front lawn and just like kind of played ukulele. So you can see that on my YouTube.
All right. Definitely. I'll throw the link in your
It can be a love song, but
yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Um so but it's My Ghost that is the one like people really single out for you then.
Yeah,
Kind of just because. All right.
I
Cool.
guess so.
All right, good to know. You consider your music as being in the alternative pop genre, and while I think your latest music has much more of a pop feel, I do think, at least for Gold Plated, and you actually explained this pretty well, but I think country fans have kind of waited for an artist like you for a long time. I mean, you have whimsy, you have storytelling, you have Johnny Cash style rebelliousness, and De La Lune. You've got violins. Um, what's stopping you from saying you're folk or country and touring the Midwest and playing barbecues and playing at the CMAs and stuff like that?
Uh, m- Probably mostly that I just never saw myself as country. Like I'm from Connecticut, so I mean, if you go up north, that's more Connecticut country, but I'm from like
Yeah,
metropolitan Connecticut.
yeah,
And I don't personally ever really listen to country. It's like kind of the one genre that I don't love, but I do love Johnny Cash and I like Chris Stapleton and I respect it
yeah,
immensely, the genre of music. I can't be like, ew. Like,
yeah,
um, but I think that they would think that you know how when like Iggy Azalea was like, I'm a rapper, and then like she didn't know anything about rap and like where it came from or its origins or whatever. And then people were like, fuck you. Like, that's what I feel like. If I tried to go into country, they'd be like, you don't know anything about this. Like,
right, yeah.
so I would be the Iggy Azalea of country.
Well, I don't know. I don't, like I wasn't even alive when the country that I like was born. So I don't really have the place either, but like, I would say there are plenty of I'm gonna stop talking about this. I don't like, like there's like a country mafia like millions deep. So I don't not
I have I've gotten that you should like veer, like they're like you should veer towards country, but what I write, like what I produce and stuff doesn't sound country, and I'm just trying to be as authentic to me and what I want to do as possible. I don't even really give it a crap about having a genre. I just
yeah.
call it alternative because I'm like, what else do I call it? And it's kind of poppy, but it's dandelion. It's
Yeah,
dandelion genre.
right on. That's a really good answer. So like so and you said you didn't really I mean you loved making the EP, but like you felt like the production side was getting away from you. So you have these opinions as a producer. What were some of the things that you would have wanted um done differently about Gold Plated?
Um, Well, I like the way that Girls Like Me came out. I like that rhythm that was in there,
Hmm.
and it's definitely kind of on more on the indie side. And I would have liked the EP to have gone a little bit more in that direction. I think My Ghost, while everybody seems to love it, I personally think it starts to drag.
Okay.
Uh, and I think there could have been something else in there, and it almost sounds a little too like this the production in like a Celine Dion song. Not that I hate Celine Dion, I love
Right.
Celine Dion.
I get it.
I I I bother my husband with my Celine Dion impersonation all the time.
Cool.
But that's just not what I ever thought my kind of production, but because they're like, "Well, you have a voice for it, like, you can carry a song like that," and I'm like, "All right, whatever you think, like, you guys are the professionals, so I'm going by you." But then you realize that professionals are also just people, and they don't know who you are deep down
Right
inside
on.
the time,
I'm
so
Yeah, I'm sure your husband is quietly singing the Celine Dion songs that you do. It's
yeah.
probably literally impossible.
Like
Not-
our house will be silent, and then, like, I'll just be like, "When you want it the most," and he's like, "Ah!"
yeah, right.
He's like, "Stop it."
Just stop it. Yeah, that's funny.
My
Uh,
heart will go on.
I mean, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. So you have this way of mixing traditional songwriting with sort of the more modern language of today. Is that by design, or are you just lucky like that?
Uh,
Okay,
I guess I'm just lucky like that?
I guess I'm just lucky like
That's
that.
how I talk. I mean, how I talk and how I put it down on the paper is how it's coming out, and however the song comes out. I mean, I kind of do go by like the standard of like verse,
Yeah.
chorus, bridge, and then like maybe one or two choruses at the end, just because it helps me like map out a song. But sometimes I don't really go by that, and I'll kind of escape those guidelines.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that might help with keeping like a traditional kind of sense in it. Um, I don't
No,
know.
that's cool.
It's kind of like how Amy Winehouse sounds like she's from like 1960, but like uses like just today's language. I don't think she really knew that it was like such an epic thing.
Well, I mean, I have to, Amy Winehouse, it was obviously a very epic thing. I mean, um,
Yeah.
y- you know, I don't know, like, I think about some of her lyrics now, and I think, you know, I, the whole reason really that she's, the Amy Winehouse that we know, that she was so memorable, is that she knew how to say what she wanted to say that way, even though it wasn't necessarily, you know, what you're supposed to do, or what you feel like you're supposed to do. So, um, I don't know. That's a loaded um, topic, I guess. Speaking
Yeah.
of, you released a single called "De La Lune" with the rapper Nocturnal about a relationship gone bad and not being able to get away. What was it like writing something so personal and sharing that with a rapper? Like, 'cause
Actually, that song is one of my songs that isn't, I mean, it does have personal experience weaved into it, but I the song is actually about a call girl to like a politician. And
oh,
I wrote it for my senior thesis in at WestCon.
oh
And
wow,
so our senior thesis, they were like, you can either put on a show that is already written or you can write a show, but like you're basically your senior thesis is like a one woman show, or like it's your project but there's other people in it. So I did mine. I wrote mine about being a senator's like hooker. Just
Whoa.
because I had been reading a lot about like Marilyn Monroe, and I was reading a lot about Donald Trump before he was president, like way before. This was back in like 2012.
Oh man. I
And
just saw an interview with him on an old like just Conan O'Brien episode, and it was like, oh, that this was not a big deal that this person was just
yeah,
around.
I was at the time I was just inspired, and almost I think it was like what the first time in my life that I really learned that this shit was going on in politics. And I know that seems like maybe late for people to hear, but I was 22, 23, so it wasn't that late. It just was kind of when I was like connecting all the dots. So I
Oh
was like
yeah.
reading all about like stuff like politicians using like taxpayer money to like f these like maybe too young women and shit like this.
Wow. Wow.
So I thought it was an interesting subject. I wanted to write an interesting show, and there was actually 3 songs in it, and Dale Loon was the third, and it was the
Oh wow.
song where she kind of realized that like what she was doing was very damaging, not just to herself but like to everyone around her.
Yeah.
And when I explained that to Nocturnal, which I thought he was the perfect rapper to be on it, not only because his name was Nocturnal and the song is
Yeah.
called Alone, but he's got a great like voice and vibe and flow. And I told him, I was like, can you do like 16, maybe like 20 bars on it? And he just ran with it. And he was like, can I have like 18 extra bars? I was like, I mean, yeah, like if you need it, like it'll be more of an opus than a song. Because I think it's like it's almost 5 minutes,
hmm
maybe more. And I felt like it needed some like a different voice on there because it was such a long, chatty song.
hmm
And that's kind of like the darker vibe that I'm going for with my next album.
Right on.
Uh, yeah.
So, I'm just a little bit of backstory here. At the Western Connecticut State University theater department, there's 2 stages, and there's actually a pretty kick-ass little theater for these senior thesis projects called the Reimold Theater.
Yeah.
It's a really nice, intimate venue, even if it
The
wasn't
Black
part of
Box
it.
Theater.
Yeah, if it wasn't part of a university, it would still be kind of my top choice of
Yeah.
stages that I've seen. And so what was that like? I mean, you're in college still, so there's still a bit of a like, you're worried what your peers will think of you to some degree. You're about to do this kind of like this song where you rap. Yeah, maybe, yeah, yeah, you can't, but, you're about to rap. Your
Zero
friend
shit.
knocked. What's that?
I said zero shits given. Nocturnal, actually, I didn't meet him until recently, like within the past few years. So he wasn't part of the show.
Oh,
There
okay.
was actually a different verse in there. And I have actually 2 other versions of De La Lune that I did with 2 other producers that are pretty cool too. But this one was the one that I produced.
Oh,
The
wow.
other ones were like other people's ideas on the song.
Oh, cool.
I'll send you those if you want to listen to them.
Yeah, definitely. I do actually. That'd be really neat. Are you ever gonna kind of release those publicly, or you just want one De La Lune?
Maybe. I actually thought about releasing it with De La Lune, like a 3 version one, but somebody at Factory was like, well, I would only do that if you had like, and I didn't, he was like, I don't mean this as a jab. He was like, but I would only do that if you had like more like popularity for
hmm
like this release coming out and whatever.
Right.
But I've thought about releasing both of them on SoundCloud
Yeah,
just to have
just
them
for
up there.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It is fun. So like, Dope.
There's also a music video for De La Lune on my spot or on my YouTube as well.
Yeah, send it over because I can put links and stuff to your stuff. And then doubling back to Factory Underground, like a lot of people would want really sort of a lot of people are waiting for someone to come along and make these bigger decisions for them in the art realm. But you wanted to go it alone as a producer. Like, I mean, what I don't know. I like like I mean, it must have been kind of nice, right? To be working with this larger group.
It was, but we're living in an age where everything is self done. I think unfortunately the time of record labels is sort of obsolete.
Hmm.
Uh and it's I think it if anything, it fed my ego that a label was interested in me, and I loved working with everybody there. They're all my friends, and they're all really talented. So it was good to meet this community of people that I still work with. Obviously, I still work with Tom,
Right.
even from out here, and I think it just people telling me like that I need a specific image, and I just like I don't know, I feel like I don't conform to one image, and it's hard to put yourself in a box almost,
Yeah, always, definitely.
and like to try and I understand for marketing purposes that you need to have like this one image. Like I know Ariana Grande in her contract, she has to wear her hair up in a ponytail every time she leaves the house because
Whoa,
that's her image.
no
So
way.
like
Is that
it
like a scoop? Like, should I not know that type of thing? Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know, but like Lana Del Rey like has to, or I think she used to have to get like her lips injected like every 2 months. Like
whoa, wow,
it's just things like that. But it wasn't, they didn't really do things like that for me, but they wanted me to like be like one sort of style, like like what I wore, like either boho or either like futuristic or either this and that. I'm like, I just grab what I like and I wear it, and I'm not doing that. Like I'm not straightening my hair every day to like conform to this one image, and
yeah,
that's not even really what they were focusing on mostly. It was they wanted to focus on being one sort of style of music
yeah,
too. And I I didn't really particularly want to stay adapted to the sound that they were kind of producing. Like I kind of
right,
wanted to bring in what I'd done and be like, what do you want to do to this, or do you want to just master this or whatever? But I don't know. Maybe that's my downfall is that I'm a little bit more picky about what I release, and maybe that's why I haven't, I'm not like super famous or whatever. Like,
I mean, uh your first CP came out in 2018. I think a 3 year trajectory. You're doing pretty good. Um, you've got regular listeners on Spotify and stuff like that. And most importantly, to be honest, you have actually good songs. That's not for nothing. Uh,
thanks.
no, no, really, like seriously, you could have a bunch of songs, but if they just like are not good,
Yeah.
like then whatever, and you have sincerity, like um but oh shoot, I just lost the thread on something I was gonna say. I'm trying to when you were sort of like looking at the possibility of being put into one image, was there ever a thought of like, all right, well, I guess if I have to do this, then I guess I'll do this? Or were you really just like, I don't want to do this?
More of the latter. Like I
Yeah.
just I like my I was telling somebody this the other day. I was like, my style it stems from how my mother kind of was just like, you wake up in the morning, you wear what you feel that day. You want to dress up like a Spice Girl? Go do it. You want to dress up like a little lady in a tea dress? Do it. Like, just dress how you want to dress. If it
That's
looks good
funny.
on you, do you like it? Like, just wear it. So my closet literally looks like a sociopath. But I am one person, I swear. I just buy what I like and I wear it. It might
I
not
get
look
it.
like what I bought the day before, but it is what it is.
No, I get it. Honestly, there was this one thing, there was sort of a grouping of things you were saying earlier that really very lines up with my own feeling. Very neat about sort of relationships and about standards in art and creativity. I really kind of, I hear you on a lot of that stuff. So, um, and since you brought up the Spice Girls, did you have a Spice Girl? Who was your favorite Spice Girl?
Of course. Sporty Spice, because when you're younger, when you're like 8 years old, you have to go with the one that you look most like.
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't have red hair or blonde hair, and I could have gone posh or sporty, but
Yeah.
now my hair is more like Scary Spices. So,
So you might go
changes.
scary.
So I might get scary, but
Yeah.
yeah, of course, Spice Girls forever. You know.
I have a lot of family in England, and so my cousins are older than I have a bunch of cousins, and but uh I think I have like a set of cousins who are like three sisters, or maybe more. But I was riding in the car with them one time, and literally, and they were both in their early 30s, which we are now, and
Mhm.
uh, and one of them turned to the other and was like, "Do you want to go see the Spice Girls?" Like, like on like yeah, like in like 2 weeks or something, and she was like, yeah."
I would. I mean, that's one of my biggest life regrets is that I never got to see them live.
You should do a cover of one of their songs. That'd be awesome.
I did. So glad you brought that up. I
Nice.
did a cover of "Say You'll Be There," and I'm currently making a music video with it with one of my friends out here. So that'll be released within the next few months. So I will let
Wow.
you
Definitely. I will retroactively put it in the write up for this. That would
know.
be awesome. I'll do like brackets and then edit and then your brand new Spice Girls link. Congratulations on achieving that dream that
Yes,
that
I'm
so many
finally
secretly have.
excited.
Thanks so much for coming on the show. You said you could play part of your single Marrow for the podcast. Are you still up for it?
I'm still up for it.
All
Let
right,
me
we'll
look.
give it a whirl.
All right, let me put my
All right.
computer password.
I don't have a candle, unfortunately, so since I'm gonna do. Oh shoot! You know what? Actually, can I just throw in one quick question? You
Yeah.
said you said you're working as a mermaid now.
Yeah, I started a business out here with my friend Alexa because I was in the show Clue out here on the island, and
Wow.
we just we're mermaid minded, and there's no mermaids for hire on the island. Like there are in on different coasts in the United States. Like I know there's like a Vero Beach mermaid. There's mermaids in Australia.
Wow.
Um, we decided that we were going to become like the mermaids for hire.
Whoa.
So I will send you pictures and our you can follow us on Instagram. It's just Okinawa Mermaids.
Right. What is a day in the life of a mermaid like? What is
I don't know yet. We're just starting, but basically we're just like if you hire us, we'll come to your parties and just be mermaids at your party and like read stories about mermaids and and sing little songs. But we're
Wow.
kind of going to be hired by like hotels to hang out by the pools and
Right on.
like when cruises come in, just because it's kind of hard as military wives to get jobs, and when you do get jobs they pay like almost pennies, and so I'm not going to work a job that stresses me out for like $7 an
I think
hour.
it's really cool. I mean, definitely. Yeah, I get it. But so like what's a great mermaid story that I might not know that you've heard about?
um like people that are mermaids in the United States, or like an actual mermaid story?
Yeah, like a fairy tale type thing.
So the real Little Mermaid story is written by Hans Christian Andersen, and it's actually very sad and very much like the story of the person I wrote Stand Still with.
Oh
um,
wow.
like it's a tale of like unrequited love, and basically she goes to the sea witch, changes her fin to legs, and uh, he falls in love with somebody else like right in front of her, and she either has to like stab him in the heart to get her fin back, or she dies and like turns into sea foam, which at the
Whoa.
end she dies and turns into sea foam, but she becomes another like an entity watching over everybody. So it's kind of the whole idea of life, death, life, like when you live one life and something traumatic happens, so your soul, something in your soul dies, but then you have a different life afterwards. So it's kind of it's kind of cool.
Wow, that is cool. I'm really glad I asked. I did kind of need you to talk about that because I don't have a candle, so I was gonna, for ambiance, focus on this glass of water
Yeah.
because you're a mermaid. So I'm glad you deviated on that for a minute. This is Marrow by Dandelyin. Enjoy, everyone.
Let's see. Let's turn the volume up a little bit before I start. Okay. Can you hear this?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Honestly, it might even like feel a little strong, volume wise.
Let's turn it down.
All right.
How's this?
Very good. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I've wasted so many years swallowing the doubts within my fears. A bitter bite, a tongue so dark. 'Cause I taste a fraction of your stars. No, I'll never let it go. It's twisted in my bones, and it's in the marrow. Ask me to dance. This is your chance. Oh, sorry. I've lost the will to love again. But see, you've always been my friend. And when your demons walk so well with mine, it's just silly that you cannot tell. No, I'll never let it go. It's twisted in my bones, and it's in the marrow. Ooh, ask
you can hear the rest of it on my.
All right.
If you love the song.
Great job, Dandelion. I'm sure that that will be a mood booster in these times for sure. Thanks so much for.
Sorry, I hadn't played it in a while.
I hear you. I was actually playing a lot of guitar just before the pandemic, and then obviously I was like, whatever, nearly smashed the thing. So no worries there. Great job, and we'll have to find a way to bring you back on again. Thanks so much for sharing your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right. See you soon. Have a good one.
You too.